don't care what nobody say. I voted for Donald Trump, and I'll vote for him again. Yes, I'm with this Make America Great Again. I'm with that. So once again, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump. If I could vote for him again and again and again and again, I'll do it again. You know how they be like, hey, if you could do that again, would you do it again? Yeah. I'll go back to that voters ballot and sign Donald Trump in my name. Because that's who I wanted to be the president of the United States of America. Make America great again.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I don't want to talk about that a little bit more, but before we get into that, I do want to take the time to say thank you. All right? Thank you to everybody that always hits the like button. Thank you to everybody that subscribed, leaves a comment for the algorithm, that's ever left a super thanks, that's ever left a dono in my PayPal. Thank you. I just wanted to take the time to say thank you. I greatly appreciate all of the continued love and support. Thank you guys so much. But we're not going to get too mushy today. Let's hop right on into this video clip. And I want to talk a little bit more about Uncle Trump. Check it out.
I feel like some of you have forgotten what it took to get to this point with Donald Trump. After 10 years of supporting him and finally getting to this end phase, and many of you are jumping off. Not many, but some of you are jumping off. I want you to see these posts that Trump posted last night as a reminder where we came from and where we are now. Watch.
Do you remember what it was like when the 2020 election was rigged and stolen? Do you remember all the bullshit stories people told you about how the fraudulent election would be overturned? Do you remember the symbols of tyranny when fences went up around D.C. for Joe Biden's inauguration? Do you remember watching fuel and food prices skyrocket in a matter of months? Do you remember watching our borders being invaded by a virtual army of unidentified criminals? Do you remember watching our nation get systematically destroyed for 4 years by the Joe Biden autopen administration? Do you remember longing for the days of winning when we had Donald Trump in the White House? Do you remember thinking he was going to die when the bullet aimed at his brain only grazed his ear? Do you remember rejoicing after witnessing the miracle that saved his life? Do you remember celebrating the epic landslide victory in November of 2024? This is what you hoped for. This is what you prayed for. This is what you voted for. So why are you questioning every decision he makes now that he's back in office? God didn't save his life so he could make mistakes. He knows what he's doing. Maybe it's time to shut the fuck up and let him cook. This has been a public service announcement paid for by the Dilly Meme team.
Jackals. Hyenas. They're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food. It's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
How do I know we're in the end game? He posted this as well last night.
I don't think I'll be able to play this actual song. So we're gonna skip through that. So yeah, this is what he had posted. President Trump posted on Truth Social, and now the end is near. So I face the final curtain. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did it my way. And so, I want to dive into this topic a little bit more because, like I said, the panicans, of course, are out there. Oh my goodness, Trump's blah, 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 blah. And it's like, for me personally, and I agree with the guy at the very beginning. Would I vote for him again? Absolutely. If I could vote for him again in 2028, I sure as hell would. 100%. 100%. Is he perfect? No, of course not. No man on earth is. So to sit here and try to, fault him for not being perfect. One, he's doing the best he can do with what we've given him. And we've handed him a bunch of RINOs who have stood in his way. John Thune being the biggest one in the Senate, the most useless and pathetic Senate Majority Leader probably in history. And some of you, once again, that have been on this earth longer than I have, that have been blessed enough to be on this earth longer than I have, you guys can let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen a more useless and pathetic Senate Majority Leader? You have the House, you have the Senate, you have the presidency, and how many things of any consequence have been passed through the Senate? What about the Save America Act? Has that been passed? Even though a majority of Americans agree with it, especially Republicans agree with it basically 100%. Has that been passed in the Senate? It's been passed in the House. Mike Johnson, I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Johnson, but it's been passed in the House. Has the Senate done it? No. No. So, in my humble opinion, John Thune is the most weak and pathetic. I wouldn't even say weak because I feel like it's intentional, right? He don't give a crap. In my humble opinion, he probably hates Trump, right? He's one of those old school Republicans who is basically, a Democrat, and he hates the Trump types, and so he slow walked everything under the sun. That's what we've handed Trump. That's what we've handed him. He's having to fight against mainstream media. He's having to fight against Democrats. And he's having to fight against his own damn party because that's who we voted for. And with all of that being said, I feel like he's done a pretty damn good job. Has he accomplished everything? No. But I blame us. I don't blame him for that. How could I blame him for not passing the SAVE Act? It's not his fault. I mean, if we're just being completely honest, it's not his fault. He's not a dictator, even though Democrats always claim he's a dictator. No kings, no kings. Which is all, that whole thing is silly in the first place. If he was a dictator, the SAVE Act would have been passed and been on his desk. He would have signed that a long time ago, right? And so when you look at him, you have to consider that he's having to contend with people in his own party that don't like him and don't want his agenda to be forced through, right? And so when you think about that, it's like, I got to give you a little bit of slack, man. I really do. And it's why I've always said, and some of you know that have watched all of these videos, bro, I wish that we could reelect him in 2028 because I feel like most of the RINOs in the party will be out of the way and it'll just be straight 100% Trump agenda. Trump agenda. Doesn't matter what mainstream media says. Doesn't matter what Democrats say. All of the panicins and everything else. Doesn't matter what they say. The Trump agenda will be getting rammed through because John Thune, he'll be gone. He's up for re-election in 2028. Lisa Murkowski, she'll be gone. She's up for re-election in 2028. Tom Tillis will be gone. He's dropping out. Mitch McConnell will have been gone. He's leaving. Lindsey Graham possibly will be gone, right? He's up for re-election right now. John Cornyn, he'll be gone. He's up for re-election right now. And so on and so on. And so that will be such a fantastic thing to see, in my humble opinion, is to see him actually be able to really do what it is that he wants to do. That would be beautiful. Be absolutely beautiful. But more importantly, the person that brought us here is Trump. It's Trump. He's the one that united everybody. There's an old saying that I'm sure a lot of you have heard. Leave with the person that brought you there. Or dance with the person that brought you there. Why would I leave now? Why? Because there's a few things that he didn't actually accomplish? Because he did a couple of things that I don't really like that idea. Really? So you mean to tell me you'd agree more with Democrats running the show? Because that's the alternative. Like it, love it, or hate it. You can say what you want. I don't like the system. Doesn't matter. It is the system. There's two parties. Pick one. If you don't pick Republicans, that means you're picking Democrats. Let's just keep it blunt, right? Let's just keep it 100. If you don't pick Republicans, then you're picking Democrats. It's that simple. Oh, well, I'm not voting. Okay, well, then you're picking Democrats. If you previously voted Republican and you say, well, I'm just not going to vote, well, then you're picking Democrats because you're taking a vote away from that the Republicans previously had. And it shows me, in my humble opinion, that the light's on, but nobody's home. Because you're taking an individual who is up against the world, basically, right? And I'm sure there's some things behind the scenes that we don't even know about that he's facing, right? I mean, who's to say that some very powerful individual didn't whisper in his ear, hey, you better not do X, Y, and Z. We'll kill you. You remember what happened to JFK? It can happen again. You know? Who's to say somebody didn't whisper that in? I don't think that's far-fetched. Like it, love it, or hate it, I don't think that's far-fetched. And even with that being said, with all of that, I feel like he's still doing a pretty damn good job. A hell of a lot better job than Democrats would ever do. 100%. Not even close. I mean, we saw what they did. We saw it. And you recently had Kamala come out here. I'm going to see if I can pull that up really quickly. You recently had Kamala come out here and try to make a video about gas prices. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Are you high? You have to be. You most certainly have to be drunk out of your mind as Kamala Harris to complain about gas prices when gas prices were through the roof when you were in office. Let me see if I can find that video clip real quick. Hold on. Because that was just absolutely crazy. When I saw that, I was like, yo, she's got to be drunk. Come on. Gotta be drunk. Where's that clip, man? Oh, here it is. I found it.
It's $15 more. Hey everyone, so I'm here in Charlotte. Since the start of Trump's war of choice, it's $15 more every time you fill up your tank of gas. The price of diesel has now gone up 80% since the start of the war. And you best believe that's going to carry over to how much you're paying for all the goods that are being transported on those semis. We've got a president who is paying more attention to what he thinks is in his best political interest and personal interest as opposed to what is in the best interest of working people in America.
How many times did you hear her talk about gas prices while she was in office? And how high were those gas prices while she was in office? Yeah, I mean, we're talking about average $4 or $5 a gallon. That said $3.97. So even with this going on, gas prices are still cheaper under Trump, and you have her out here talking about gas prices, which is absolutely crazy. And you know what else gives me some confidence in who I picked and who I continue to pick and will continue to pick as president, Uncle Trump? The fact that we've never seen anything like this. I mean, and I've talked about this before. I mean, they've literally thrown everything in the kitchen sink at this man and continually do it. They tried to Scully his name. Didn't work. So they tried to drag him into courtroom after courtroom after courtroom after courtroom, right? Extended the statute of limitations on things to try to get him. It turned one offense into 30, right? Oh, he's got 30 felonies. Ooh. Didn't work. Then they sent bullets in his direction. Didn't work. They've literally tried everything. And of course, I mean, they're still, oh, well, none of that worked? Okay, well, we're going to take some people on your own side. Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. We're going to take some of the biggest influencers on the right. Some of the biggest. Some of the ones with the most followers ever. This will finally bury him. Now, this is just my own personal opinion. I don't have any evidence to back this up. Just full disclosure. Just my own personal opinion. But behind the scenes, they said, we're going to take all of them and we're going to pay them a nice fat check. And they're going to turn their backs on Trump. All at the same time. Which is also kind of funny because that's what Democrats were doing. They were all repeating and saying some of the same things, which made it obvious what they were doing. And now they're doing it with people on the right. All of a sudden, all at the same time, they're all saying the same stuff. You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that fishy, right? Alex Jones, of all people, you don't find that suspicious? Tells me I'm supporting the right person. You know, I mean, even in the Bible, it says if the world hates you, it once hated me. If you were of the world, it would love you. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, right? I'm not surprised that, all of this stuff is happening. All of these people are turning their backs on Trump and, all of this stuff is happening. I'm not surprised. But it tells me that, yeah, you picked the right person. You picked the right person. Because at every single turn, it's Trump bad, Trump no good, Trump this, Trump that. And they literally don't do that with anybody else. Not murderers, not thugs. They don't do it with rapists. They literally don't do that with anybody else. Not terrible dictators. They don't do it with, pause for a minute and think about that. They literally don't do this to anybody else. Not even people who have put people in the dirt in mass, right? Mass murderers. They still don't do this to them. But you do it to Donald J. Trump? Really? Really? He's like the worst of the worst. Donald Trump, he's the devil. Really? Not this guy that just killed 8 people? You don't talk half as bad about him as you do about Trump. Why is that? Once again, it lets me know I chose the right person. And so at the end of the day, if you had any confusion on who I'm rocking with, it's Uncle Trump, baby. From the beginning to the end. It's that simple. But y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below. Thank y'all for tuning in as always. Don't pay attention to the panicans out there. We're good. We're good. We're going to be all right. All right? And let's make sure we show up in mass coming to midterms. Give them a nice surprise. Peace and love, y'all. I'm out.